Meantime, President Obama, of course, has famously said that, it's courageous to stand by his health care law, and it's courageous to do the right thing. In fact, he was honored at a JFK 100th honorary event, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the former president's birthday, that is a profile in courage. That's what he won for. And it got me thinking, it happens sometimes, is it courageous? Is it a mark of courage to support something that guarantees health benefits for all, but the costs are borne by a few? Democratic strategist Christy Setzer says it is. Republican strategist Hayek says it is not. Actually, my only point in that is I think JFK would be rolling in his grave if he heard it as a profile in courage to support a law, whatever you think about providing health care for all, that it's a mark of bravery to support something whose costs would be borne by a few.
Yeah, he calls it courage, I call it stupidity, to continue to support a law that has been a disaster for our country since the very beginning, that Nancy Pelosi herself said wasn't read until it was passed, that has stripped people of individual rights. I don't call supporting that courageous. Like I said, I call it pretty unintelligent. I think the real courage was the American people to show up and vote to give us a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican president who can change the status quo. And I think the real courage will be the people who can go in and put a deal together that will fundamentally change our health care system.
You know, Christy, I'm sure you agree with everything that was just said here, so I'll just leave that as a moot point. But one of the things, Christy, I did think, isn't it more, whether you agree or disagree with what the Republicans are trying to do, isn't it more courageous what they're attempting to do, because they're running into this buzzsaw of nasty town hall meetings with a lot of people saying they're all but trying to kill off Americans, strip people of their health care, make them sick to the point that they just die on the vine. And knowing that to make this better, and I think Democrats and Republicans agree, it needs some financial shoring up. The math itself doesn't support it. That the courage, again, is on challenging this. What do you think?
I think that the courage, sure, would be in seeing that the bill, that the law needs some fixes. But that's not what's being proposed by Republicans. Even in the previous version, only 17% of Americans said that they supported the bill because they knew, based on the CBO score, that at least 24 million Americans would lose coverage given what Republicans proposed.
Well,
now, we don't know what this new version is like, but it's at least
study that you allude to, it's
million.
about the growth of the numbers who would bring it onto the system. It would slow by 24 million. We just don't know. But I guess what I'm asking you is, Americans have seen the effect of higher premiums, and they're told that it would have been a lot worse without the Affordable Care Act. Do you agree with that, Christy?
Absolutely, absolutely, I do. I mean, that was the entire.
But we never know, right? It's like
point.
proving a negative.
Well,
it's bad, but it would have been a hell of a lot worse.
Well, I'll tell you what would be more expensive. If we go to the high-risk pools that Republicans are proposing, then you're talking about premiums that start at like $1,000 a month. If you happen to, unfortunately, be in that high-risk pool because, let's say, you have a pre-existing condition through obviously no fault of your own, maybe you're going to even have to pay $20,000 a month because, you know, God forbid, you have cancer, let's say. Now, look, I just don't think that it's morally courageous of Americans to say that because you don't make enough money, you should die because you don't have health care. I don't think there's any sort of courage in that.
Advocating that position. I know where you're coming from, but actually the bottom line seems to me that I have a different definition of courage and all. I talk to a lot of doctors, I talk to a lot of specialists, and my big fear seems to be that they're being left out of the equation. But when they say to a man and woman, and not all of them, but the ones that I've met, they're concerned. They're very, very worried, and they don't know whether this is the system that's going to do the trick or that President Obama's system is going to continue to do the trick. But right now, they're not happy campers. That can't be a good sign.
Yeah. Well, and for President Obama to say it's courageous to continue to support something that's broken regardless of what the alternative is right now, I mean, that's just false. I think that's a very poor definition of courage.
All right, guys, I want to thank you both very, very much. Good having you.